Pum 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 pum. Hello, everybody. My name is Rodgon. No, you're not, Milky. Get out of here. Bah. Hey, my name is Rodgon, and I'm an artist, a designer, a teacher, a mentor, an illustrator, cartoonist, whatever you want to call me. And I am bored today, so you guys get an extra lesson. So, some good news. My contract for 21 Draw has come through. So, you guys officially have a teacher for both anatomy and posing. And that is going to be something that I give as a nice course on 21 Draw now. So, I have to do the course and I have to do all that stuff. But that's what we are going to talk about a little bit today. We're going to talk a little bit about posing and how someone learns how to pose something. I'm not going to make you guys wait till the course. Of course not. I might go into more depth within a course, but I'm going to teach you guys the lesson anyways. So, because I don't like people having to pay for art. So, as we go and we learn a little bit more about our stuff. So, posing is normally a really hard thing for people. They structure their drawings very boxy at first, and you end up with very rigid body shapes. When you start drawing, you don't really know volume, right? When you start drawing things in general, you just start drawing little elements, and then you hope that the drawing looks good. The thing is, all these little guidelines that you're doing are perfect. Like, even if you're doing this for fun, this is really cool because you can use these guidelines later on to improve on this technique. But I'm going to teach you guys very easily how to take something as simple as a little beanbag, or a cylinder, if you want to call it. A cylinder with two curvy edges. There you go. That's another way of seeing it. And then take that and be able to map that out into any poses you guys want. Ta-da! I am going to teach you guys how to take these very basic shapes and place them in the right positions so you guys can have all these awesome poses that you guys have always wanted to do. And you guys will be able to do like fight scenes and stuff like that. Like, bah, no, what? Right? So I'm going to show you the very basics of this so that you guys can actually take this and apply this to whatever style you guys choose. So let's start from scratch. We were going to start from nothing. We will not know absolutely anything about drawing. Our mind is blank. Clicky. Let's draw clicky. I like clicky. So I draw clicky. Clicky is my little assistant. And he is a little light bulb. And he comes up whenever something really important is about to happen. He's like the watcher. Okay, so pay attention whenever you see him. That's something important. So clicky here wants you guys to pay attention to these concepts. The first thing to do, be able to draw absolutely anything, is to learn how to draw with a circle. Start with a circle. A circle is a very strong shape. It teaches you consistency. It teaches you precision. Somebody that's not skilled with drawing is not going to be able to draw them well. So they'll do like this or 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 this, right? That is exercises that I can tell from the get-go if a person has dexterity with their actual abilities or not. So whenever I ask you if you were like taking my apprenticeship or anything like that, that if I'm asking you for circles, this is what I'm paying attention to. I'm paying attention to you actually cleaning your lines. Even if you do oblongs, make them with purpose, right? Drawing something with a purpose is very crucial in all of your drawing. So when you are controlling your line work, you can master these shapes really, really quickly. So being precise with your very basic circles is step one. So learning how to draw a basic circle it seems easy, but it's actually quite hard. So actually learning how to draw a clean circle is very, very important to learn as a basic skill. Let's move on to the next step. Well, the next step is going to involve drawing more circles inside of those circles. So this exercise that you did, instead of just drawing them like that, you're going to overlap them. So you're going to draw a circle and you're going to draw a circle inside of the circle. Okay? And then this, it gives you so much. Oh my God, it gives you so much. It gives you like it gives you like, okay. It gives you a surface. Okay. So it splits the object in half. It gives you two halves to this element. It gives you this half on this side, and it gives you this half on that side. It gives you a guideline for the middle of your face and the back side so your spine. Right? So now you have your face and your spine. Just from knowing a circle inside of your circle, you can draw a circle inside of your circle on a rib cage and come up with that little middle part. Ta-da! Draw a circle inside of your circle on top of your rib cage and then expand that. And now you have the perfect placement for your arms. So that's going to be a big one. So clicky, come over here, point. Right there. I'll have to learn how to draw clicky quicker. But right there. So drawing a circle inside of your circle and then making that a little bit bigger, or drawing an eye at the top of your rib cage, is going to give you your arms. So drawing a circle inside of the circle is very, very important, because once you learn how to do some very basic divisions, it's going to be easy for you to map out everything in your body to be able to draw even the more difficult angles. Okay? Even the angles that are hard, looking up and all that stuff. That becomes really easy when you learn how to draw through your shapes. So this is an exercise that teaches you how to do that. So draw circles inside of circles, see what forms come out of this. See what you can do. What happens if you draw your face in the front? Oh, that gives me this proportions. What happens if I split it and I draw the head on this side? Oh, that gives me a different view. Oh, cool. All I got to do is flip my ears and I have a front and a back view. Awesome. That was really easy. Now, you can do that and take these little lines and then expand them to different places to come up with different shapes, right? So you can do this in a bunch of different ways. Like you can expand the sides of your shape a little bit more. So you can have a more wide face for characters that have like, I don't know, really big bones. Or a person that's a little bit more elongated, like Dracula or whatever. It's going to be more akin of something that's a little bit longer. So things like that allow you to actually modify your shapes really easy. So learning to draw through your shape, draw circles, and then using these are already perspective points. These are perspective lines already. Using these and expanding them to see what happens with your shapes starts teaching you how to see volume. Okay? And then the more you start playing around with these things, you end up being able to expand and different things for hats. I don't know. That's a cool hat. But that would be like a canopy as well if you were drawing architecturally, right? If you were trying to draw something like a cabana or like somebody laying down on the beach, playing around. So it's really dependent on how you visualize it. So taking the knowledge that you learn from one thing that you learn is going to directly apply to something else. So if you learn how to draw circles really good, well, now things like planets and stuff like that are going to be a breeze because you just draw your circles through your circles, and now you have like little planets, atoms, things like that are going to be like fun to draw as like elements in the background now. And then when you get really, really good, you're going to be able to actually do this for your facial features. So you'll be able to see through your shapes, and you'll be able to draw things like eyes and lips, stuff like that infinitely easier because you'll be able to just see through your shapes. So you'll be able to have like all these really cool ways of drawing things like I do, but they're going to be your own because you're going to see your own shapes. So for example, I'll give you guys a couple of examples of how I see bodies, and then we'll move on to the actual like posing aspect of this. But this is how I see bodies, okay? I see a ribcage as a circular shape. Normally, it's going to be like an eggy, like a little bit taller than wider. So it's going to be a little bit taller than it is wide, and it's going to be about that big. Now, I give it a midsection by literally drawing this little circle. I do these guidelines a lot. And then from there, I draw the middle of my ribcage, which gives me my little ribcagey part. I go up my ribcage and I decide how wide my head is going to be. Yes, my ribcage and my head are very correlated in size. So if I'm going to have a character that has a really big head that's bigger than my ribcage, that's a style choice. But since I have a very basic structure way to see my bodies, I know how to make a standard head in any way. And it's as easy as drawing a little circle at the top of your actual ribcage. It's normally around like the top fourth of your head, like your ribcage, or the really upper body of your like ribcage. It's not at the middle, and unless you want a really big head, and you'll see later. But like this is just going to determine the width of your neck and into the width of your head. Like just by looking at any human being, just look at any human right now, and you'll see that their ears are at the sides of their face, right? Like that makes sense. Like that's just like duh. But then that's not really duh when we're drawing, because all we have to do to come up with our neck is literally just draw 2 lines down from our ears, because that's the width of our neck, right? But that's also the width of our head most of the time. So what the hell? Like, how does that work? Well, it actually works quite well. Like, it's not that hard. For a standard way of seeing it, it's not that hard. Now, if you wanted to make this bigger, you just got to make the base bigger, and now you have a big character. You want a thinner character? Well, make the base a little smaller and curve it in from the ears, and now you have a smaller character. It literally, boom. I'm not going to draw Sonic. Please stop spamming. So yeah, so that's essentially all you got to do to figure out the head. So now that I have a little circle and a cylinder coming up, well, all I got to do is choose which direction I want my head to be looking at. Let's make a difficult angle. Oh, let's make it looking up. So I want my neck to go up, and I want my chin to be here. Okay? So since I'm looking up, all these little lines for my cylinder that are slowly going up tend to look up. Right? So now, since my cylinder is looking up, where are my ears? Ears are right there. This, my jaw, just goes to my chin. This goes down to my shoulders. Well, not to my shoulders, to my little like the little circle that we drew. And then these connect to the front of the neck right there. Boom. That was like the easiest thing in the world for me, using a cylinder. Not using a sphere, using a cylinder. A cylinder gave me that ability to do that, not a sphere. A sphere is hard for some reason. I don't know why, but to me, drawing a sphere and doing this exact same thing is a little harder. I don't know why. I just don't understand it. But if I draw a cylinder, all I gotta do is like draw it around, and it's just easier for me to visualize it. I don't know why. It just is. And it gives me all the other information too. So it's just a stronger a stronger shape for me. All right, I'm gonna start banning people. So, you guys do whatever you want. See, I don't appreciate spam because it keeps people from actually learning. So you actually spamming is kind of like you just taking away people's ability to actually ask questions. So you think you're being funny, but you're kind of ruining the stream for a lot of people. So that is why I will literally ban you if you keep doing that. Because the only reason that I do these things is not to entertain people, it's to actually teach. So if you want to be a part of the lessons, fantastic, dude. But you are blocked now. There you go. Done. Any more? Cool. You too. Dude, I'll take a couple seconds to just block every single one of you. I don't care. So, all right, let's keep on going. So now we have this little lesson which teaches you that a cylinder is going to teach you how to draw a face infinitely easier than an actual circle. I don't know why. It just makes it easier for me, at least. So once you learn that, then you start questioning everything that everybody ever taught you. And then after you're done questioning everything that you've ever been taught, you realize that maybe everything that you've been taught is not so hard. So now that we have that, we are going to just rotate a cylinder with a little triangle and come up with our face in the different sections. So all you got to do to come up with a face from a different side is to draw your cylinder, draw your guideline to this side, draw your chin, and then twist your head. All right, this person's gone too. Block, 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 block. Block, 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 block. Any more? Let's go. Let's go. I'll just block everybody. I don't care. Could you do a female one? The thing is, I'm not teaching male or female anatomy. I'm just teaching you guys anatomy. Like a female face would just have female features. So you have the cylinder, decide your chin, make a softer chin, maybe a bigger forehead than a chin, and then just make the neck a little bit slender by just curving it in. So all you do to create a little female character is adjust the proportions to make it look more soft or slender. And that's all you do. So in order to create men and female women, you just got to look at people and see what type of features they have. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys, the people, I don't know why people just start spamming sometimes for me to draw things, but I don't like being told to draw things. Like, you guys will not understand the level of annoyance that comes from people telling me to draw things. So, all right, let's continue on. So this is actually a pretty fun lesson though, like, because it takes you away from having to do this and figuring out where your neck is after. And it just literally makes it so like you have your neck and then you add your jaw. It's the same thing, but it's just applied differently and it's so much easier. If you want to tilt your head, all you got to do is have that initial cylinder and then just tilt your head around your cylinder. Like, it's so intuitive. It's like, so you have your cylinder and then you have your jaw and then you just look up. That becomes so much easier, like infinitely easier for me than doing it with a sphere. Like, I don't know why. It just is though. So let's go into the actual lower body, because we spent a little bit on the head. So I was just really excited. I honestly jumped back on stream right now because I've been doing that like all day, and it's been really, really cool. Like, I've just been drawing like cylinder faces all day. So let's do a little mini lesson. How to draw. Oops. Cut that out. Hold on. I need to cut out a little piece. Heads from cylinders. Okay, so we are going to forget everything we know about drawing heads right now. We are going to forget that we draw them from circles. We're going to forget that we draw the little midlines and all those little guidelines. We're going to forget everything. Okay? We're going to forget that we know anything about heads. The first step we are going to do to learn how to draw heads is we are going to draw a kaiju eye. And that is a circle and two little sides. It could be an eyeball. It could be whatever shape you see and when you think, right? I like to think of it as an eyeball because it looks really cool. Okay? So I think of it as the middle part, like the colored part of the eye and the little white parts. What is this going to do for my heads though? This is going to give me the base of my head. This is going to be my collarbone and my neck muscles. We're going to draw a laser beam coming up from him. So our kaiju is shooting a laser beam up. And we're going to use circles inside of here to come up with how our face is looking. Our cylinders can go into different views by changing the way that we draw our circles inside. Okay, this is perspective in a cheaty way, like you're cheating perspective. You're just drawing it and then visualizing it as opposed to actually using the perspective, like guidelines, like, like vanishing points and stuff like that. So we're going to draw little circles to give ourselves a guidelines. We're going to decide a top and a bottom. This can be looking down if you decide that this is a surface looking down. You can choose this to be your forehead and have this be looking up, and that be your hairline or whatever. Let's choose that one because it's a little bit harder. So he's going to be looking up, and I'm going to choose a midline for my face. So now we have a cylinder connecting to a body part, and then we decided that that's the midline. We're going to draw some ears on the side of the face. Just draw some ears. You'll figure out where to draw them once you figure out where things fit. For now, you can just draw an ear. Draw a little box with a little dash. But this is important because the bottom of the ear is going to tell you where your jaw starts. So the bottom of your face is going to start at the bottom of your ear. The bottom of your ear is going to connect to wherever you want your chin. So do you want your jaw to be little? Draw your chin really close. If you want your chin to be like massive, bring it all the way down. Like, don't worry about overlapping, right? Or if you want your chin looking up, you would draw your chin looking up. And then you would connect your actual lines, connect it to the front so you get that little curvature. Okay, so now I have my little cylinder. My little lines are giving me like an idea of how this is going around. We already drew that in. So now that's going up. And now I'm going to draw a little teardrop for my little eyeball. So he's crying now. Oh, the little crying part is going to be the middle of your rib cage. That's where your collarbone connects. And it's also going to be where the edge of your ears connect to close out the muscles of your neck. So now all that little complex space that you like, you're always struggling with here, right? Well, now that just becomes one muscle, two muscles. And then this area, if you have like a voice box, if you have like a really strong Adam's apple, it would be like right there, right? Like it's just like a little box right there, like a little dimple. Like it's not like a gigantic, like complicated thing. It's just like a little thing that's just right there. And then everything here would be in the shadow because it's like the light source probably up here and it's hitting the jaw, which is casting like a shadow here from the actual volume, but then it's casting a shadow because the head is casting a shadow onto it. So now you have two different kinds of shadows in there, and that's so it's all complicated. So now that's easier on a cylinder than it is with a sphere. Just this. Then let's move up the face. We're going to go up to Noseland. Let's go to Noseland. Noseland is going to be with a triangle. We're going to start our nose with a triangle. Why a triangle? Well, the triangle is going to give us everything in the face, first of all. But let me show you how and why we use a triangle for a nose. We're going to use this is not the shape of the nose. This is the base of the nose. So we're going to use that and we're going to create pyramids by drawing a dot to see how far out we want our nose to be. And we just connect it depending on how far along we want it. So in this case, let's draw a triangle, draw one, connect all three, and then stylize it any way we want. Right? And then you have a bottom and a top. Easy peasy lemon squeeze. So we have here, triangle. I'm going to make this looking up. I'm going to connect all three lines to it, and I'm going to stylize it. It's pretty easy when it's looking up. Like the nose is actually quite simple. From there, we're going to use that initial triangle that we drew. And we're going to follow these lines to find out where our cheekbone and our eyebrows are going to go. That initial triangle, we're going to follow these guidelines that it already provided me. And I'm going to follow those for my cheekbones and my eyebrow line. The eyebrow line tends to be a little bit more squarish than round, but making it nice and round works just fine. You don't have to go into that extra level of understanding until later, right? But for now, you can just leave it as a little circle that goes around. That's an easy way of doing it. Then from there, that same triangle, use that as the very tip of an actual teardrop that connects to where your chin goes. And now you have the space for your mouth. From there, you can exaggerate it if you want, but if you just want to keep a nice standard consistency, you can use these as the midpoints of your mouth. So you can just go from one side to the other. And then that normally matches up with the realistic proportions of having your mouth be at the edge of half about where your eyes are. So it's all little landmarks that come together really easy if you just don't draw them with a circle. Right? So if you draw a cylinder and you draw your kaiju eye, and you can change these to different directions. I'll show you guys later why, like when we start posing. But because this is going to be where your arm goes. But anyways, that comes in a little bit later. We're going to draw our cylinder lines. We're going to draw my midline. I'm going to draw my ear. I'm going to find my other ear. And then I'm going to draw my chin. I'm going to connect them all. I'm going to give my character a nice big forehead so that this becomes a hairline. Then I have my triangle in the midline. That triangle is going to give me my forehead, my eyebrow line, and my cheekbones. It's going to give me my front. Then I'm going to decide on a dot because I want a downward nose. I connect all three to it, and I have my nose. Now, let's see. I want a character with a smaller neck now, though. So I'm going to either do two things. We can curve it in and cheat it like that, or you can just make the bottom part a little bit smaller and then connect that to that. It's going to help you match it up either way. Okay, if you make this smaller, remember, these are the width of your shoulders. So you either need to make this smaller too, so that it's not unproportioned, but it doesn't make it so that you lost time with that initial sketch, because that taught you and showed you how to place it in the basic base spot. So that helped you map out your proportions, and then you refined it later on to the proportions that you wanted. So the initial one that we drew is what I would call a SAM. And I call simple anatomy mannequins. And once you have a simple anatomy mannequin, you can manipulate that mannequin to anything you feel like drawing. So you put all your foundations to work in every single one of your drawings that you do. So yeah, we're going to talk about the body anatomy with posture. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I just wanted to cement to you guys the idea of just drawing something silly like an eye with a laser beam shooting out of it is a very easy way to start your knowledge about how to draw different angles and different head shapes that is not constraining you to the very basic concept that we all always follow. Okay? Once you break out of that and you guys understand that there's different ways to achieve these things, maybe ways that make more sense to you, well, then when you realize that, it's like, it's life-changing. Okay, so always keep an open mind. Even if someone's a really good artist, keep an open mind, because even the simple artists are the ones that can teach you guys how to actually unlock all those potentials. Like, it's not always about detail. It's about learning how to actually place your elements in a way that makes sense to you. And if you actually manage to learn that, then, well, that makes the world of difference. That's going to be like everything. And I promise you, you guys will see that. You guys will be like, oh my God, like, how did I not see this so much sooner? It's ridiculous. When are you going to upload this on YouTube? Like, I'll just upload it after I finish. Like, they normally take about like an hour or so. I normally save some for a rainy day whenever I don't have time to actually post something. But I don't know. I'm just getting used to just like uploading them like right away. Cylinder with another cylinder into a kaiju eye. That's it. Like, that's all a face is. That's like super simple way of seeing it. Cylinder 1, cylinder 2. And then you add the stuff that you want from your triangles. If you want like a super long, like if you want big cheekbones, this line would go out and this one will go out, right? You place all your lines based on what something else tells you in your drawing. So if this guideline tells you that you have a longer cheekbone, then you follow those guidelines to follow a bigger cheekbone. Okay? You got to let your art flow and not just force things into places that they don't fit into. And little by little, you just start being able to see things that you never really thought you would be able to do. And it's going to be like eye-opening for you. A side profile face? Yeah, let's draw a side profile face here. So a cylinder, again, a cylinder into a half a kaiju eye because there's only one side. And then you're going to draw your ear, choose a chin, connect. That's your jaw and your neck. This is the hard part. Ta-da-ta-da. Your neck is done. And then this part, well, a lot of people have, like, they don't understand where to add like the little curves and stuff like that here. Let me explain to you guys like how easy it is to understand that. Wherever you make this curve, that's where your eyes are going to go. Because this is the breaking point between your skull going into your cartilage of your nose and your forehead. So this curvature is very easy to determine every time you're drawing. Boom, that one, forehead into where my nose starts, creates that pocket, and that is exactly where my eyes go every time. And it works with every style, every concept, every face. Let's just draw some random ass faces, right? Let's give them some guidelines. So here, if we draw a triangle, we follow these guidelines. We have the side of, oh, by the way, this gives you the side of the face too. So it's like, so quick. We're going to decide this as our jaw. We already have this line connecting. We have these lines right there, and we have a jawline. This, I'm going to draw a nose. Which way do we want the nose to go? We want the nose to go up. So I'm going to draw a dot, connect all three of these, and now I have a nose going up. Okay, I draw a teardrop from here for my little triangle, and I'm having all this space for my mouth, and I can make this into a three-dimensional shape by drawing circles inside of this. So now I have a three-dimensional shape. Because it has roundness, I can choose any two dots in between here, draw them together. And then if I want my mouth open, I draw another line connecting from here to here, and I draw through my shape to get that little element of three dimensionals, overlap them. Now I have a lip, I have a mouth. I can draw parallel lines to that and create lips, mouth, teeth, tongues, all that stuff is just parallel lines going in the same direction. So it's not hard for me to figure it out because it's like, if my mouth is going this way, then my teeth are going that way. If my teeth are going that way, then my tongue is going that way. If my mouth is going this way, then these curvatures are going to go down this way, right? If my mouth is here, then my chin has to be underneath that. It just has to. It can be hidden. Like the more your mouth opens, it would be here, but we had a random shape at first, so I wanted to show you guys how you would fit into it. Let's add some facial hair to make the sketches look like part of the detail. We're going to add top teeth. Like if you want to wonder how you draw top teeth, well, it's really easy because it's given with that triangle. So the triangle gives you the cheekbones, your eyebrows, but it also gives you the top teeth and the bottom teeth and your chin. All that stuff is provided by that little triangle that you draw in the first place. So all this information is your bones. Those are your bones. Like, this is what I'm trying to show you. Like, you guys are drawing actual anatomy when you're drawing these things. You're just simplifying it so that you guys can actually draw it easy. But the actual thing you're learning is your actual structure for your face. So when I teach these things, I'm not teaching you guys how to like do tricks. I'm teaching you guys how to see anatomy in a very simplified way so that you guys can go out into the world and apply your own styling to all this garbage stuff. Okay. When you learn what you're drawing and how to distort that stuff, it becomes really easy to be able to draw a lot of stuff. Your style is very easy to find. Your style is literally, it breaks down to your abilities with your pen or your tool or whatever you're going to use, and combination with your knowledge of perspective or in whatever theme it is that you want to learn. If it's animals, it's going to be your knowledge about animals. If it's architecture, it's your ability to learn how to do like buildings and stuff like that. If it's character design, it's going to be anatomy. So it's your combination of that, your technical abilities, and your imagination. So all those three little elements, so your technical skills with your like drawing, your knowledge, so your brain stuff, okay, and your creativity, so what you actually can come up with. That constitutes your style. Now, you might not like your style. You might not be happy with where your style is right now because one of these elements might be lacking a little bit. So if you don't know how to draw something, well, it's going to be a combination of these two things, right? It's going to be your knowledge, like your research and your technical skills with your practice. And then when you apply your imagination to that, that's how you go and you draw really cool things with what you learn. But a lot of people skip this step completely. Nobody wants to learn. They just want to, no, they want to practice. So they want to practice and they want to imagine things, but they forget step 2. So they forget that they have to learn. You have to learn in order to be able to see more detail, more lines, more shadows, more, all that stuff comes from understanding. If you are drawing something, if you're drawing like a face, and you come to the point where you don't know what else to draw because you don't know what else to add in detail wise, well, it's not a lack of like the world not having any more details for you to draw in. It's more like you just can't see it. And that's because you haven't gotten to the level of understanding or visualization that allows you to be able to do that. Right? You can go all day long drawing the same things and making the same little mistakes and stuff like that. Or you can start using all your mistakes and the drawings that you do and put them to your advantage. Like every mistake that you make is honestly just like, to me, whenever I'm constantly making mistakes and someone points it out, I love it. I love it. You know why? Because I don't really get much good criticism like at this stage in my career. I just don't. I'm the one teaching people, so I don't really get that level of criticism from a lot of people. Most people don't really understand like the level that I'm in at. So even when it comes down to like other teachers and stuff like that, it's really like, actually I love meeting other teachers because they just point out so many different ways, and I love to like break down their ways of teaching into like ways that make sense to me so that I can break them down for you guys. It's like, oh, I love it. Oh my God, yes. Okay, so I get to go to a retreat for Inktober. I'm gonna go to a retreat with Jake Parker and who knows who like some other people that sign up, whoever. I don't care. I don't care who else is going. I'm gonna go, and it's really cool. And it's in Malone, New York, and it's gonna be for a week. And it's gonna be just in nature, and I'm gonna get to like talk about things and draw, and like hopefully like do little seminars and stuff like that, drawing sessions for like the professionals. That'd be so cool. So even though I'm not a part of the retreat, like I'm going to it, I got invited to it, but I don't technically like I'm not an employee of it, but I'm gonna hijack it. I'm gonna make it my platform to like teach everybody. Could you please do a quick arm? Okay, cool. Let's do some arms. All right. So I kind of like this, but the thing is, I don't fill up my sketchbook when I draw in these. So these are gonna have to go in the sketchbook at some point or another. All right. So arms. Okay. So arms. Arms were very easy once I understood where they fall on the body. Like a lot of us have this understanding that when we draw our bodies, we have our arms right here, right? And that's not wrong. Not wrong. But there's a very easy way to take this little basic understanding of knowledge, because this sometimes gets really hard to know how to like rotate properly in space, and like how the muscles interact with each other and how they connect to the actual body is more complicated than this, but just a little bit, not too much. Let me explain. When you have this, all you have to do to come up with the top part of the actual body is to just do one more simple line. You draw your shoulders. All you gotta do is draw a connecting point from the top shoulder to this shoulder and curve it. This gives you this little eye shape at the top of your actual body. Okay? Now, this is where your actual arms come from, because this is going to replicate your actual anatomy like so. This is how your body connects to your rib cage. So if you simplify this, take away the circle, and you can literally simplify the whole body into a circle, another circle, and two little triangles for the sides. And that gives you the perfect placement for your arms every time. And all you got to do is base the muscles on each individual part. Like you don't have to worry how the arm connects to the body, because the arm technically, the muscles on the arm don't technically connect to the body. It's the shoulder that connects to the collarbone, and then you have your back muscles and your front muscles that go around, creating the armpit. So if you have this sort of understanding, you go shoulder, pectoral, arm. So it goes 1, 2, 3. And then you add your back muscles around it. So if you think about these muscles, it's kind of easier to understand them when you think about them like this. If you're thinking about these as a 3/4 view, right? We draw the little eye shape in the top. We draw little eyes. And then for these, you can literally just drape something like this around your eyes, like just having it go around over. And it starts creating the muscles. Just drape something over that initial shape of your rib cage, and you start getting an understanding of how your actual muscles connect right there. Right? So if you see it from the side, you're going to see your muscles come up around And that is how they start going around your actual body. Same thing happens with the ones right here. They go around your body. So this body, if you want to learn how to draw the arms good, you got to learn how to place them in the body properly. So now that you know how this works, well, we can just draw shapes and then draw eyes. And now you know where your arms go for a bunch of things. So all you got to do is come up with the perspective that you want for your shapes. And it becomes a little easier to be able to draw bodies in perspective and stuff. So the upper body, the proportions are as follows. Proportions for upper body. So our rib cage is going to be the core of our actual body. So I like to make that the majority of the volume of my shape. If I need to draw somebody skinny, I will make them skinnier. If I need to make someone really big, I will make their bulk of their actual body first. This is going to be a little different because the rib cage is not the first thing that I draw. With really bulky people, I like to draw the general bulk of them first. Okay? And then I'll show you how to figure out the actual rib cage. So now let's go back to our shape. Find the midsection by drawing a circle inside and come up with this little tiny divot for the rib cage on the bottom. Then up here, we're going to draw a circle at the top of it. This is going to correlate to how wide we want our actual head to be and according to our actual body. So our heads are normally a little smaller than our rib cage. Okay, so this provides us a very basic guideline that provides that proportions. So if I were just to follow these guidelines and draw that, I'd get a really basic structurally proportioned character. Right? My head would be in general correlation to my actual body of my rib cage. That's if I just followed those guidelines. Now, if I want to alter it, then I can just do something like this. Let's say that I have my body shape and I want my head to be smaller so that my character looks bigger. So I'm going to choose that little section right here, that little eyeball or that little section. I'm going to make it really small on here, and that's going to be the width of my head. So now my rib cage for this guy comes from the bottom of that cylinder. So my rib cage could be anywhere around here. It could be tiny and then just have the body be massive. But we want to connect it to, let's say, some hip bones. So let's make the hip bones over here, and we'll make the rib cage go all the way down there. So that is the easiest way to come up with the shape and the proportions of your head. Now, the sides that you draw from here are going to resemble the three parts of an eye. Okay, it's going to resemble the colored section and the two little white parts on the side. So you're going to have three sections, but the middle section is going to be your neck and the shape and the general proportions for your head. The sides are going to be your collarbone that leads to where your arms are. So that is going to be where your arm connects to your body. So if this gets moved around, let's say that we have this little eye shape here, we move this down, well, my arm is now here. My arm is now here. My arm is now down here. See what I mean? It starts moving your body around by moving that simple point. Moving that collarbone will give you the guiding line that you need for that actual body part. So if you draw it crossing, guess what? Your arm is going to be over here. It's going to be crossing. If you draw it back here, behind him, he's going to have his arm back here. So drawing those three parts, like we said, each line that we draw has a very specific purpose. So the circle gives us our head. The head, or the cylinder, gives us our jaw and our ears and our guidelines, right? From here, these guidelines that connect to the back, this is the back of the rib cage. If you curve a muscle going around, like if you give an eyelid to the actual eye, you can start creating even more musculature that matches with realistic proportions. So the moment that you draw eyelids on your actual eye that's shooting the laser up, you start getting even more levels of detail for your muscles. So simple concepts that help you map your things better. Now, how do you draw this connection point with the shoulder? This is actually really easy because this is already given to you. So if we're looking at our shoulder or our eyeball from the top, right? This is going to be the back. This is going to be the front. So this is where our shoulder is, and this is where our arm comes down. Okay? So how does the shoulder connect to this part? Well, you're going to take a point in the front and the point in the back, point in the front, point in the back, and you're going to curve onto a third point on our bone. Our bone could be a stick figure that comes from that one edge. It doesn't have to be a cylinder. It doesn't have to be anything. Just draw a dot and draw a line. That is literally where stick figure come from. If you draw a stick figure properly, you can draw a stick figure and actually come up with your drawings really, really good. If you understand how to draw a stick figure, right? Like if you don't understand what each part of the stick figure is, it's going to be really hard for you to position a stick figure to look pretty. But I can make a stick figure twerk. Because I know where the body parts move. So I can make somebody do a lot of really entertaining things without really even moving a lot of lines. Where should I start on your pose? You can start on any of them because I teach everything from scratch. So from here, we're going to have 3 points to our shoulder. We're going to have one in the front, one in the back, and one alongside our arm. And all we got to do is connect them. So draw a line for your arm coming from that point. One in the front, one in the back, one in the arm. Connect them. Okay? The important line is going to be this one right here. This going from our arm to the middle of our collarbone or to our rib cage. You can map it back to the rib cage if you want. Map it down to the side of the eye if you want. Or the side of, the rib cage. Just makes it an easy mapping point. So from here, you can connect it there, connect it on the back of the rib cage, and then choose an arm. And then that's how you're going to choose how big your shoulder is going to be, by the way. So you can make gigantic shoulders if you want by just making this go down this way more. You don't really add volume to the top at all. There's no real volume that gets added here. Even with drawing Dragon Ball Z type of characters, they have a little bit of bulk there. They don't really have the bulk up. They have the bulk going to the side. So if you're going to be bulking, make sure that the shoulder goes this way, not up. Then from there, to come up with the rest of the arm, you're going to divide the arm in half with wherever the shoulder comes. So wherever that point is, you're going to have your bicep to one side, and you're going to have your tricep to the other. They both connect back to this initial point. And then to come up with the bottom part, you're going to draw another little teardrop, and you're going to overlap the bicep. Just going to overlap the bicep. So you're going to draw 2 teardrops, and you're going to overlap the bicep. And then that's how you draw that body part really easy. That's it. So it's 2 little It's two little teardrops, and you just overlap a little bit right there. So now from here, how do you, like, that looks a little weird, right? That looks like a floating arm. Like it's just like floating in the middle of nowhere. Like the shoulder is not even connecting. Well, you need to draw the muscles that connect the arm to the actual body, which is your back and your front muscles. So you have your pectorals that connect to the middle of your rib cage, and they come roughly from underneath where your armpit would go. So a little bit underneath that bone structure. You could do it from where your shoulder is, like from your shoulder down here. Just connect it. Wherever you decide your shoulder is, that is how your arm connects to your actual body. And then you have your rib cage, and then you have your muscles that connect around. They go around your rib cage, and they connect everything. So that is the structure in which you actually follow to come up with like your arms. Your arm structure will actually end up like this. Your rib cage, the top of your eye, the eyelids, arm. Shoulder is 3 points, one in the front, and then one going to the side, connecting them. This is the width of my head. It's going to give me my jaw. This is going to give me my side muscles. Then from here to the middle of my rib cage, I'm going to connect it to come up with my pectoral muscles. And then from underneath the pectoral muscles, you would have your bicep and your back muscles and stuff. These normally get angled a little bit down more. It just looks a little weird when it's not, I guess. But yeah, that's essentially the structure for a human body and the arms. The arm itself, like I said, teardrop, and just learn to overlap the bicep. And it gives you all the guidelines you need. Teardrop, overlap, bicep. Teardrop, overlap the bicep. Bye-bye. All right, let's actually draw inside the sketchbook, though, so we can actually fill the sketchbook. So, if you guys don't know, you guys should be liking and sharing the stream. And all of you guys should go join my YouTube channel, because that is essentially where all my stuff goes. Right, Milky? Mm-hmm. You guys should go follow Rogon, because he has so many videos, guys. You don't even know. And then, well, if you guys learned anything, do this shit too, because you know this isn't for free, huh? Don't make me come to your house, huh? Yeah. Milky, stop threatening people. Ah, all right. Milky, you're a thug, dude. Jesus Christ. Gotta keep them in line. Little milk carton. Little rotten milk carton. All right, let's go into actual posing, though. We haven't really done any of the posing. Yeah, I have hands on my YouTube channel, but that's going to play a role in posing. So now that we know how to draw the head and we know how to draw the arms, now we can move down the body and we can go onto the hip bones. So now that we know how to draw the body, the arms, and we know the sizing for our head and our ears and everything like that, since we know all this already, now we can move on to the connection points with our actual hip bones. So how are we going to find out where our hip bones go? Well, the easiest method that I know is the method of just the either the swishies. No, the swishies were for our legs. Let's do the balloon and stick method, because that's just the easiest method. Like if you think of your hip bones like a piece of wood attached on a string to a balloon, that is going to be the easiest way to understand your hip bones because your actual hip bone is a very simple shape. Your hip bone is going to be a cylinder with the bottom circles angled in. That is what your hip bone is. So your hip bone, doing that little angle is what allows you to be able to draw the curves of the characters and the actual body shapes that you will desire. If you don't have these angles and you don't know what the angles do, they do this. So the more you angle them, the more straight your legs are going to be. So if you have a more masculine shape, you draw the angles of your hips really, really wide, connecting them to a wider balloon, creating a stick that looks like that. Okay, this would create a character with a really big upper body. Okay, so that would be somebody that's like a police guy or like a superhero or whatever. If you do that opposite, but you don't flatten them, you angle them the other way, well, you can get really cool effects because now you start getting little curvy ones, right? And you start getting a little hourglass shape. So you can start having fun drawing characters that are a little bit more hourglassy. So the balloon and the stick are different for different characters. You just have to get used to what type of balloon and what type of stick you like to use. But that's not just because the simplification doesn't come from just understanding that it's a balloon and a stick. It's actually understanding that each one of these proportions can be changed. So now the size of this balloon can be changed from big, small, fat, squarish. You can draw a balloon that's any shape you really want. Okay. And then the string is the spacing for your abs. So this is going to be how much you want in the midsection. Okay. So wherever this is, it just gives you a little guiding point. It's normally at the part where you have your little ribcagey part. So you have your little ribcagey part, and that's normally where that little balloon thing would go. From there, choose how big you want your actual abs to be. Like it's not like if it looks too long, make it smaller. That's why we have sketches. Okay. And then decide how wide you want your hips to be by drawing a cylinder and then curving in the bottom parts. Or you can find it another way by drawing a circle that goes down and then cutting off the edges of the circle. Or you can come up with whatever shape you want for the bottom and then give it undies. Okay, whatever way is easiest for you to figure this shit out, like just do that. But the whole core process is to get it to be a cylinder connected to a shape. Okay. As you guys can see, it can be a bunch of different sizes, a bunch of different shapes, different methods that you guys can approach this. Just the way that I approach it is just my way, and it works really nicely because everything matches up nicely. Everything has its place and everything has its purpose in the way that I draw. Okay, so now that we know our hips, well, now how do we draw? Like, what is this little spacing? How do we like fill this in? Well, this is what I call the squish area. So this is where you would add like your body fat or your muscles or whatever you feel like drawing in this section. Like a lot of people would use that for clothing, like, you know, like bunching up clothing, stuff like that. You could use that as like your, like just the midsection for your belly. So you can give yourself bellies if you want. like I said, you can give yourself like a more cinched intro. Like you can just make the character look like they have like starvation going on by just drawing it even in more. You know, so at that point, that's the squish area. That's the fun spot. Squish. So you can make it big, you can make it small, you can make it do all that stuff. You can also clean your nails. Well, you can also leave my stream. I mean, honestly, like I was talking about this earlier. Like the reason that my nails are dirty is because I'm drawing all the time. And I'm like pulling like the tape back on this stuff and the ink gets in there. Like, to me, it doesn't bother me. So if it bothers you, you can leave. I ain't no hand model. If I was a hand model, I would be so set. I would have all the manicures and stuff, and I would actually care. I think the only time that I look at my hands is when I'm streaming. Other than that, I'm not like particularly like paying attention to my hands. It's good to see these things in practice though, right? Like seeing that somebody can just apply these things to like a little simple drawing is kind of reinforcing sometimes whenever people explain to me. So seeing how you apply these little concepts and showing through examples instead of just telling people to go and like look at demos and stuff like that is very reassuring to your followers. So if you're going to be a teacher, that is something that I recommend you do. Because it's so important to be able to demonstrate why you're teaching the things you're teaching. Did I explain hands yet? No, not yet. So, okay. So now that we know the connection point with our hip bone, let's have some fun and add some hip bones to this guy by literally making this guy into a little balloon. And then I want to give him like, okay. So the reason that we draw a balloon in the stick is because we can draw a balloon in the stick in the wind, right? A balloon in the stick in the wind is not too hard to draw. It's going to get hit by the wind. Whee! Well, that's what helps you come up with different body parts and positions and stuff. Doing stuff like this is what helps you be able to see things in different perspectives, different views, different poses. So the balloon is just there to help you visualize all this magic sorcery, as you guys pull it. All right. So understanding that a balloon in the wind can help you come up with some pretty cool things is kind of dope, isn't it? What kind of text maker? What? Text maker? What's a text maker? I've never been into drawing, but this might make me try it at some point. If you do, there's a lot of videos that help you start from the start, from like actually from nothing. So I have a bunch of videos in my like YouTube channels and stuff like that. So if you want to give it a try, I think you would be amazed at how much you can actually do with like little to no knowledge, and then getting taught the right way. But not even the right way, because that assumes that it's like a wrong way of learning, right? No. Let's prevent that way of thinking, because there's no bad way of learning. More like another way of visualizing things that is less confusing for beginners. How about that? I think we can say that. Turn off, I don't do lives. Okay, so let's try some more. Ba-ba-da. We're gonna draw my balloon, gonna draw my stick too. Connect them, make them in the wind, angle the parts of the bottom so that my legs can come in. Let's see. Okay, so another trick that I like to do whenever I'm actually drawing these things, right, is that once I have my actual body, I'm going to draw a random box underneath it. And then the trick is to be able to put a tic-tac-toe and then draw the bottom of my feet and then see how I can connect the back of my feet to my legs and make it make sense with using basic shapes. So I already have this perspective point, right? The bottom of my foot. This is not a volume. I haven't added volume to it. It's just the bottom of my foot, how it connects to the floor. From here, I know already this perspective angle. So my leg is going to come out of here at this angle with this width. I already know the width of my ankle by drawing a little circle at the back of wherever my foot is going to go. All I got to do is come up with that midline right here. Whichever midline I choose is going to be where these all go to. So I'm going to choose a midline right there for this one, which means that this thigh is going to go there, and then this ankle is going to go there. It might change perspectives. This one too. Learn to overlap your lines so that you can create a top and a bottom. And then give your feet volume. And then you have a cool pose ready to be stylized in whichever way you feel like drawing it. Make them a little sassy. Ooh, I mean, what kind of highlighters? Oh, these are just super generic highlighters, guys. These are like, I got some pastel ones. They were supposed to be pastel, but they're not really pastel-y. They're like just super bright blue. So even though it's nice whenever they start like drawing out, when they're drawing out, they're really nice. But until then, they're like, ugh. I do one-on-one lessons, but I only do them for people that actually are like looking for improving their careers, right? Like I base my one-on-one lessons on like finding work, finding you your purpose, and finding you your abilities that are strongest in the way to market them. That is what I focus on whenever I do one-on-ones. I don't really necessarily focus on individual drawing things. Like somebody that's going to come up to me and be like, hey, can we draw noses? Like I normally don't do one-on-ones for that. I do all these like YouTube videos for that stuff. But if a person wants to actually like learn how to take their skills and actually make money and stuff like that, because my one-on-ones actually cost money because my time is valuable, right? So it's just a matter of if you want to actually learn and be guided. But that's, yeah, it's not the cheapest thing, like to be consulted. So that has to be something that you really want to actually like do. It's not something I would suggest if you're not really sure. Then if you're not really sure about like things, just ask here on the stream and then I'll be like happy to like just give you guidance without having to actually have you pay. Because I don't like you guys paying if you always don't need to. I still need to make my living and stuff like that, but like I don't want you guys paying if you guys don't need to pay. Draw my stick, draw my balloon, draw my eyeball, and my head too. My leggies can be any shape, doesn't matter shape they make. It can be anything, as long as it comes from the right place. See, I can draw anything ridiculous, and as long as it comes from the right place, it's going to look like a leg. Like, it's just funny. It's just really, really silly. The moment that you learn the placement, the actual placement of things and how they work, miraculously, you're going to be able to modify and draw that in like a quadrillion different ways. Like, you're not going to be stopped by like perspective and lines, because things like that just become instinctual, right? Over time, when you draw it enough, all that stuff just becomes instinct. Like, and then you get to be creative. And then you get to add all the stuff that you want to your drawings, and you can draw yourself inside of everything if you feel like. Right? And that's how you start playing with poses and understanding that as long as you draw it from the right place, it doesn't matter if you draw a little tiny like elephant arm. Or if you draw a little robotic one, it's all going to look good because it's coming from the right place. So understanding your placement of your elements and how they match up with your actual body is going to take a while, and it's going to be something that you struggle with for a long time. Don't get me wrong. It's not something that just magically comes to you from learning a couple tips. Hopefully it does, but it normally takes a while of practice and understanding so that you can take these lessons and actually apply them how you want to actually use all your basic foundations. Okay. Things come with time, patience, and practice, deliberance. You actually have to put forth effort more so than what you might actually think you do. You have to actually tell yourself, is this a priority in my life? Do I need to take time aside from other things to be able to do this? And I don't mean from your work. I don't mean from like, don't quit your job. Like, that's not what I mean. Like, you always have to have a source of income. Don't be silly. Don't be dumb. Don't be like, oh, Rod told me to drop everything and like go out into the world. And like, dude, like, yeah, I understand. Now you know how to draw rib cages. You're going to feel like super confident. You're going to want to do a lot of stuff. But don't drop your job until you actually have something that you can actually get money with, right? Even if it's not being employed, you still need to be able to actually function as an adult or a human. So don't be silly. Don't think that you can live off love for your artwork. You need to be able to actually make a living with your money, like the artwork too. Like, so be patient. Should we copy other artists? See, that's a interesting topic. I guess it's going to be dependent on what you say copying is and what you determine to be copying. So if you were, for example, taking my drawing and you are taking it line by line, meticulously tracing it, and then you're trying to profit from it, that would be a problem. Now, if you use a drawing that I did and you use that as reference or as a template to come up with your own cool, awesome, epic version of it, then that's perfectly fine. Because that's your version of it. It's parody. It's whatever you want. But if you trace the drawings, and we can always tell, man, like we can always tell when someone traces, when someone doesn't trace. Like no one's fooling anybody, dude. Like, even down to like some subtleties, like how people draw their mouths and noses. Like, it's kind of like a fingerprint. Okay. Like drawing in itself is a fingerprint type of situation in which everybody does it a little bit different and everybody does it with a specific flow that isn't really normally matched by other people. So in order to be able to like certainly be like, yeah, this is my artwork, you have to get to a point where you understand what you're drawing so that you can actually draw it doing anything you want. If you have your knowledge based on style, like you've been just copying someone's style for like the longest and you're like, you know, just looking to get out of that, it's going to be a little harder to do that than it is to actually, for example, start from scratch, because you have to unlearn all the shit that you learned. So sometimes it is a little bit harder, but it's not an impossible task. And it's not something that is going to, you're going to be an accelerated course anyways, because you already know what you're drawing. You just got to draw it differently. And then things are going to click so quickly. So I look forward to doing this like anatomy course for 21 Draw, and then using that knowledge to be able to launch my own set of courses later on down the line that will be like even more in depth, not for beginners, but it'll be like more for advanced people that want to continue on that, you know, like journey of learning. So I'll do a beginner's ones for them, and then I do an advanced one for me. Things are clicking. Woohoo! Like, let's say I like a part of an artist style and I develop learning that thing. Yeah, you go for it. Go for it. Styles are just like a big like puddle of your knowledge, imagination, and references that you've liked throughout the years. Right? Like that is essentially what a style is. So if you want to learn how to draw like a nose a certain way, well, I mean, you can learn how to draw an actual nose. So with the different body parts and all. Or you can learn how to draw it through style, which would be like, I don't know, like little sushis or little shadows. Or, I don't know, like big conquering noses. Or you just draw them like this. Or you draw them like that. Or you draw them in any way that you feel like drawing them, right? Like down to like a little triangle for anime noses. Like any way that you want to really draw them. Like once you understand the concept of how they're built, like it doesn't matter. It becomes super easy to draw them in every perspective, every way like possibly imaginable. Like it's actually not as complicated as people make it think. I can actually draw. Oh, see, I wouldn't make fun of you if you didn't call my art bad. You really do not have any idea of my skills. I compete at worldwide level, dude. Like I'm competing in the like World Illustration Championships this like next month, like worldwide competitions. So yeah, you can have your opinion if you want, though. That's pretty cool. I would love to. Let's do a little draw off. Oh my God, we can do that now, huh? Oh my God, we can do a draw off. Dude. You have had things published? You're cute, dude. Dude, I've been published worldwide. Like my merchandise is in fucking Walmart and like places like that without you guys even knowing. Like you don't know who you're talking to, man. Oh my God. This is so funny. Oh, let's go. Get your sketchbook, dude. Let's go. Grab your sketchbook and send me an invite. Let's go. Let's go. I will challenge you to a draw in front of everybody. Let's do it. Come on, man. Let's do it. I'll draw you. You draw me. Winner just gets humiliated. How about that? Yeah? I don't know. People get really, really like super weirded out. I find it hilarious that people are so dumb as to like thinking that because somebody is teaching and drawing live, that is their skill level. Like, if I'm able to do this quick, right? If I'm able to do this quick, dude, what makes you think that I will, in any way, shape, or form, draw any worse taking my time? It makes no sense to me. Like, you are like kind of silly. Is that him? Is that him? Is that him? Oh, that's not him. Oh. No, I think Chad left. Oh. It's okay, Chad. It's okay to like run away when you get like called out. It's okay, man. There's no shame. Here, I'll give you a consolation prize. And a little trophy with a little violin. There you go. All for you, Chad. All for you. Yeah. Here, let me draw my mustache and stuff though. Oh man, I love this. How did you learn these face shapes? The thing is, I didn't learn the face shapes. The face shapes come easy once you learn what is inside of a face. So if you learn how to like not draw the actual shape of the face, but learn to draw the things inside, then you can actually, let's draw a random shape, whatever shape I want. Okay, I'm going to give it a guideline. It's not parallel, it's not even, so I'm not going to draw it from the front. So now I have this, and now I know that I have a couple things inside my head. I have a nose canal, I have cheekbones, and I have teeth, and I have a chin. So as long as I know that these elements are inside this shape, I can then go ahead and take this and stylize that to whatever I feel like. I can make this into anything because I know the elements that are inside of a head, right? So I can take any shape and add those elements inside, and I can make a face out of it really, really quickly. And regardless of the styling, I can choose to make it into anything that I feel like. So understanding what's inside of your actual head is more important than actually learning how to draw each individual part. And it's very easy to understand that by learning some basic guidelines that don't even require you learning how to draw a circle. Yeah, sketching every day actually does help a lot. I sketch about like 4 or 5 hours a day, honestly. Like this is my job. So it's between job and work and streaming and stuff like that. I'm spending about 5 hours a day, 5-6 hours a day drawing. Can you draw Johnny Bravo? Okay, let's see if we can draw Johnny Bravo. So Johnny Bravo has a really big upper body. Okay. And then he has a really tiny hip bones. So our balloon and our stick are going to be very unproportioned. So I'm going to connect these, and it's already giving us like a really cool dynamic shape. So from here, this little angles, I'm going to draw 2 sushis. Not even cylinders or whatever, 2 little sushis and 2 uneven sushis. Don't even draw them the same size. And then just draw little lines coming from the bottom. So now you have your legs and your... He has a little tiny like a head that's already a cylinder. And it comes from the top of our bodies, and he has really wide shoulders. So we're going to draw the little sides of our actual eye that teaks up really wide. So we have a really wide body. We're going to connect the front and the back of our actual arm, and let's draw the actual body shape. Like he normally used to do these like really like silly poses, like ooh ha ha. And then we have just the space. We just have to fill it with muscles. So this upper body, we have our shoulders, we have our biceps. This bottom part, we have our forearm connected to our elbow. Shoulder into pectoral muscles. He has really big muscles. Shoulder, pectorals, bicep, forearm. And then he has like his hair, has his jaw, and he has his glasses. And then since this is not very aesthetically pleasing pose-wise, I can then just adjust it. Since it's a simple pose right now, I can just adjust it to be exactly what I need. This needs to be higher. And then I want this a little closer. He has a black t-shirt. So a nose is easy. A nose is a triangle. Make a dot, connect 3 dots, and then draw your style. That's a nose. It's that easy. It really is that easy. It's not like a magical thing. It's like triangle, dot, connect. You already have all the surfaces. Even for a more realistic one, you just split that in half. So you have like the little midsection. And then you can just draw your nose to your heart's content. Oh, you want to see my pen? My pen is like a super cheap Bic, just wrapped around with a shit ton of tape. Oh, so Chad came back. What's up, Chad? Okay, just because you don't want to draw cartoons doesn't mean you have to be an asshole to everybody else. Dude, like, I'll never understand, like, people that think they're silly by being mean to other people. Like, you understand that a lot of people quit art because of people like you. People that bully other people for showing and trying to, like, their best to, like, do something. People like you are the people that, like, creative people quit. So you can go screw yourself, man. Honestly, like, that's just what I feel about that shit. So it's not about like just have to be, you got to stop being an asshole, stop being rude to people, because that doesn't really do anything. Like maybe it bumps your ego up. And even if you were the best artist in the world, who cares? You're an asshole. Can you sell custom drawings? Yeah, I do custom art all the time. I take on commissions, but I only take on commissions that are fun. Like if you come up to me with a logo and you're like, can you draw me a logo? I'm probably gonna say no. At this point, I don't care how much money people throw at me. Like it's just not worth my time to actually like spend drawing. Yeah, so style comes from just knowing more stuff. Like honestly, if you just know more stuff, that's easy. If Can you draw a dragon? Yeah, let's draw a dragon. So I like dragons because they have really tiny heads sometimes. And you can like draw them in a bunch of different ways. But they essentially are a big rib cage, a little head, and as you guys can see, I'm playing with the same concept of the balloon, the eyeball, and the stick to be able to draw things that aren't necessarily human. So if I want to draw my dragon in interesting positions, in this case, I want to play him fetch with me right here. So I'm playing fetch. So I want him playing like a puppy. So I'm going to give him like a little puppy pose right here. This leg is going to be chilling over here like that. Okay, so now we have that. Now we have the hip bones over here. We already drew the hip bones, so we already know where the leg is connecting. Then we already know where our arms are, and we already know where our neck is. So this is going to be the back muscle, so that's where my wings would go. Then my wingies are going to be little wings. From here, the body just goes up, and this traces around the shapes that I already drew. I already drew all that shit. I'm just stylizing it. My tail, I'm going to make it curve around my other drawing, like all the way around, and then just coming around the old lady. Then from here, have my wings, I have this, I have my guidelines, add some little details like scales and stuff. Then I'm going to give them like ridges. So like a little crocodile. I'm just going to trace my shape. And I'm going to add little ridges. This is where my hip connects to my tail. So that's where my tail starts. And then I'm going to go up to my face. Let's zoom in for the face. So I know that lizards like this have a hinge of their actual head. Their jaw is really far back, and they tend to have little nostrils that flare up. And very akin of a crocodile or an alligator, they have really long mouths with teeth. Okay, they don't really necessarily have too much of a chin, but they do have a jaw. But he's going to be squishing against the floor because he's playing, so he's not going to see a lot of that. Give myself a backwards hat. A little heart. Ah, that's not heart. That's heart. I'm going to give him some big eyes. His little skull. And then maybe some horns, right? So maybe give him some horns. So now we have his little ear, his jaw, his neck, into his body, and make his other arm reaching out to me. There you go. And then if we add a little bit of color, it'll look even better. So let's add a little bit of color for contrast. Just a little bit of color. Okay. And then we can use the same highlighter to create a little bit of a background. Add some elements that are going to give me some sense of height and weight and stuff like that. So like trees and stuff like that. Baby minuscule amount of detail to provide a sense of a ground. And just like that, a simple highlighter and a ballpoint pen can provide you the ability to draw something kind of cool. In this case, a dragon. Cool. All right, seeing as this was like an additional stream that we didn't really need to have, I'm gonna go because I gotta do stuff. Still gotta upload the book to Amazon. I haven't done it yet. But if you guys want to support me, I have books and I have stuff that you guys can purchase. You guys can go follow me on my social medias. I have YouTube with a bunch of videos for you guys for free. I do private consultations, like I said, but I don't like to advertise that. Honestly, it's just mostly because I don't want you guys thinking that I'm like searching you guys for money and like bitching with that. So I'm not doing that. But if you guys do need to, well, there's a way for you guys to find all that shit out. Anyways, have a good one, Chad. If you feel like having a little challenge and actually want to challenge me, I'll be more than happy to take you on a little drawing challenge. I'll be more than happy to, dude. My buddy, my friend, my Chad. But you get your violin trophy for today. Don't be mean to people. Learn that one thing, please. Otherwise, you will get made fun of a little bit. Oh, dude, just send me an invite, man. If you really want to do it, I'm more than happy to. I fucking love it. We'll do like a 10-minute drawing off challenge. And then we'll let everybody choose. Just send me a message on Instagram. Like I said, man, I've never seen any ill intent on anybody. Like my community, even you, being an asshole and all, are still welcomed and very much so, like, part of it. Just be nice. And you'll be more than happy to teach you as well. So contact me. We'll set that up if you guys want. That'd be awesome. That'd be kind of funny, honestly. And I will see you guys later. Talk to you soon.